is the #1 ranked flyweight contender that Burmese American Joshua Van.
Now, this fight is 5 rounds for the UFC undisputed flyweight championship of the world.
Fifth defense for the Brazilian Pantoja against the Burmese American Joshua Van.
Pantoja very aggressive.
Pantoja's left arm is hurt. And that is it. Oh my goodness. We have a new flyweight champion. Joshua Van at 24. An arm injury to Pantoja. And Joshua Van is the...
Big shot by Josh.
Declaring the winner by TKO and still the undisputed UFC flyweight champion of the world, Joshua the Fearless.
Joshua Van, nicknamed The Fearless, won his UFC Flyweight Championship title at the 26-second mark of the first round against Alexandre Pantoja and became the second youngest champion in UFC history.
In boxing, it might be the best in the UFC. It took all the stink off of the way he won the title.
He's 24.
Right.
He's going to be your champ for a very long time.
For a kid who's ranked number 12 to come in on short notice and take on the #1 guy in the world who was highly motivated to win that fight after the press conference the other day, where he said, "I feel like I'm the most disrespected fighter in the sport," and then he knows he's going to get the title shot. You know,
People started comparing him to Jon Jones because he cemented himself in the record books. And on top of that, he already said it himself. I'm trying to beat Jon Jones's record. And you know what? He did it.
I went to 6th grade, middle school, man. That's when the bullying started and all that shit. You know, it was tough.
What is your full, martial arts background? Did you have any, martial arts background growing up?
Street fight. It was very hard, man, until I got to 7th grade. And I stopped fighting. And then that's when people give me my respect.
Selling at a high level.
You know, for me, my motivation is that I'm trying to beat Jon Jones' record, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what motivates a lot of young fighters, you know. Myself, Mokai, you hear Mokai talk a lot about becoming the youngest champion and stuff like that. I think that was one of our main thing, is to actually see who gonna get that title, the youngest champion and stuff like that. So I think for me that was my biggest motivation. And on top of that, seeing all these young guys, I'm like, damn, they only 23, 24s, and they get to that level, you know. It just make me push harder, man.
No, yeah, definitely.
Joshua Van is the biggest problem for UFC flyweight fighters, and today we're breaking down exactly why. For anyone who doesn't know the story, let's go back to the beginning, because this one matters.
I met Josh a little over 3 years ago. One of our other fighters, Carlos Jimenez, told us that he was going to be bringing this kid in that wanted to get some different looks and, check the gym out and get some good training in. So, Josh walked in the gym, real young kid, wasn't even of age yet. He's probably 20 years old, maybe. Just turned 20. Came in, did the class, first class, and he was done. After about an hour of work, he was out. We all, weren't really sure if he was going to be coming back or not, but the kid came.
Joshua Van Bowie Thong was born on October 10th, 2001 in Hakha, Chin State, Myanmar. He grew up in a country torn apart by military conflict and political unrest. When he was 10 years old, his family fled to Malaysia. 2 years later, at just 12, they landed in Houston, Texas. He lost his father in 2017. He's been fighting literally and figuratively ever since.
Everything we train at the gym here, we translate to the cage, okay? So circle squat for wrestling style, if you use the cage, push back in the cage and use the leg.
Good things happen to good people, and Josh is a good person, first of all. This kid is one of the most respectful and one of the most humble kids I've dealt with at this age. At only 23 years old, this guy is just super respectful, super humble. He'll give you the shirt off his back, and in this age group that he's in, honestly, it's pretty shocking. And I think that's another reason that, you know, good things happen to him. Just good things happen to good people. You know, when he's in the cage, he's gonna tear some shit up. He's gonna fuck some people.
Lands a knee several times.
Big knees.
Josh Van start unload.
This is touch and go. Seconds, can he get the finish?
Tries to hang on.
Just got to be careful of the old bar, but this is it.
Goodness, that'll do it. Joshua Van, a winner again.
He trained on the regional scene, went 7-1, won a flyweight title in Fury FC, and signed with the UFC at just 21 years old, becoming the first Burmese fighter in UFC history. And at 24 years old, he is now the second youngest UFC champion ever, behind only Jon Jones. The kid who said, "I'm trying to beat Jon Jones's record," went and did it. Let's talk about what makes Joshua Van so dangerous, because this isn't just heart. This is a legitimate problem for everyone at flyweight.
Melted up really well. I don't know, man.
Let's see it here.
Yeah. Those toes got to the target there. Yes. Hey. You can tell.
Van averages 8.43 significant strikes per minute. That is the highest of any fighter in any division in UFC history. He doesn't just throw punches. He throws them in relentless combinations, mixing to the head and body, and he does it accurately. His significant strike accuracy sits at 57.4%, the highest in flyweight division history. That means he's not swinging wildly. He's a craftsman. The body attack his fight against Taira proved it again. When his coach, Daniel Pineda, told him go to the body, Van listened, and it was over. He's used the body shot as a weapon repeatedly against Bruno Silva, against Saruya, against Royval. He sets it up with jab cross combinations upstairs and then digs downstairs. By the time his opponents feel it, it's too late. The chin and the composure against Taira. Van was taken down 4 times in round 1 alone. 4 takedowns. Most fighters panic. Most fighters change their game plan. Van, he got up every single time, reset his stance, and kept picking Taira apart with his hands. He never panicked, never shot a desperate shot. He trusts his chin, he trusts his feet, and he trusts his conditioning more than almost anyone in the sport. The knockout power people forget this is a flyweight we're talking about. Van has 4 knockouts in the UFC, tied for 3rd most in divisional history. He has 7 knockdowns, also tied for 3rd. Against Taira, he dropped him with a right hand late in round 2 that swung the entire momentum of the fight. Against Royval, he knocked him down in the final seconds of round 5 to seal the victory. He has legitimate stopping power at 125 pounds. This might be the most important piece. Van eats McDonald's for breakfast every morning, even during fight camp. He trains at 7 a.m. joking with his coaches. He walks into the Octagon like he's having the time of his life. He once said, "If you look at this fighting stuff as a job, you're not going to be very successful. I'm focused when I have fun." That joy, that fearlessness, it isn't an act, and it's what makes him nearly impossible to prepare for. Let's just run through what Joshua Van has already done to the record books at 24 years old, second youngest UFC champion in history, behind only Jon Jones' first fighter, born in the 2000s, to win a UFC title, first Burmese fighter ever signed by the UFC highest significant strike accuracy in flyweight history, 57.4%, highest significant strikes per minute in UFC history across all divisions 8, 43 highest striking differential in flyweight division history 7 fight, win streak tied for 3rd longest in flyweight history 4 knockouts, tied for 3rd most in flyweight history 7 knockdowns, tied for 3rd most in flyweight history combined 419 significant strikes with Brandon. Royval the most in any 3-round UFC fight ever, and the records are still falling. You don't become this without a war chest of unforgettable moments. Here are the fights that made Joshua Van Felipe Bunes Fight Night 234, Jan 2020. 2024. His team had been calling him a decision fighter. Van heard it, processed it, and went out and finished Bunes in round 2, turning Bunes' own predicted weapon into his blueprint. The decision fighter label died that night. Cody Durden, UFC 310. Deck 2024. Durden came in talking about delivering a masterclass. Van fractured Durden's orbital in round 2 and spent the rest of the fight picking him apart. Durden left through the hospital, the orbital through surgery. Bruno Silva, UFC 316. June 2025, Silva had just brutally finished Cody Durden. He was a BJ black belt, a former training partner of Henry Cejudo, and he was certain Van had holes in his grappling. Van knocked him down in round 1, stuffed every single grappling attempt, and finished him in round 3. Another Brazilian BJ black belt faced down on the canvas. Brandon Royval, IC 317, June 2025. 3 weeks notice against the #1 ranked flyweight in the world, a man who had beaten Brandon Moreno and Tatsuro Taira back-to-back. Van was ranked 12th. Most analysts called it career suicide. They landed a combined 419 significant strikes, a record that had never been touched in a 3-round fight. And when the final bell rang, all 3 judges scored it for Van. Fight of the year. Instantly, Alexandre Pantoja, LFCC 323, Deck 2025. The championship moment. Pantoja came in as a betting favorite, a man with 8 straight wins, 4 title defenses, and comparisons to Demetrius Johnson. He talked about finishing Van with a submission. Van talked about a knockout inside 3 rounds. 26 seconds later, Van caught a high kick, elevated the leg, and shoved the champion backwards. Pantoja's arm dislocated on landing. New champion, Tatsuro Taira, UFC 328, May 2026. The title defense that ended the paper champion conversation forever. Taira was ranked 3rd in the world, an elite grappler with a 77% career finish rate. He dragged Van down 4 times in round 1. The crowd started booing. It looked like Taira might answer the question everyone was asking, and then Van cracked him with a right hand at the end of round 2. By round 5, after Van went to the body on his coach's instruction, Taira's tank was empty. 131 significant strikes to 55. Done. John Jones, the greatest combat sports athlete of all time. That's the name people keep saying next to Joshua Van, and not casually. Here's why. Both became UFC champion at 24. Jones at 23. Van at 24. Both hold the record for youngest UFC champion. Jones #1. Van #2. Van's striking output and accuracy at flyweight mirrors the kind of multi-dimensional dominance Jones showed early in his career. At light heavyweight, both carry a fearlessness in the octagon that opponents simply haven't been able to game plan for Dana White. A man who has literally seen everything in combat sports came to the post-fight press conference after UFC 328 and couldn't stop talking about him. He's a promoter's dream. He's young. He puts on incredible fights, and he always wants to fight. Multiple organizations named Van the 2025 Breakout Fighter of the Year. ESPN, Sherdog, Junkie. CBS Sports, all of them gave his war with Royval Fight of the Year. Sherdog named him 2025 Male Fighter of the Year. As of June 2026, he sits at number 11 in the UFC Men's pound-for-pound rankings. Van said he wanted to beat John Jones's record. He got it within 1 year, and he's only 24. The rematch with Alexandre Pantoja is coming. Van has been calling for it since the night he won the belt. When Pantoja was sitting cage side at UFC 328, watching his former title get defended, Van looked straight through the camera and said, "Pantoja, you better get your S right. We can run it back if you want." If Van beats Pantoja in the rematch, he climbs to the 2nd longest win streak in flyweight division history. The records don't stop falling with this man. People see the baby face. They see the McDonald's breakfast. They see the jokes with his coaches, and they underestimate him every single time. That's a mistake. Joshua Van is not a paper champion. He is not a lucky champion. He is the most prolific volume striker in UFC history, the second youngest champion the promotion has ever produced. And at 24 years old, with his best years still ahead of him, he is the biggest problem the flyweight division has ever seen. The Fearless. And the rest of the division has every reason to be terrified of that. Division history. Second youngest champion in UFC history, behind only John Jones, and after the Pantoja rematch, if Van wins, he climbs to the second longest win streak in the flyweight division. The records don't stop falling with this man. People see that baby face and they underestimate him every single time. That's a mistake. Here's what makes Joshua Van so dangerous. He does not fight scared, not even a little bit. Against Taira, a man who was dominating him on the ground for stretches of this fight, Van never once panicked, never shot a desperate shot, never abandoned his striking just to survive. He trusts his chin, he trusts his feet, he trusts his hands, and he trusts his conditioning more than almost anyone in the sport. His striking output is unlike anything we've seen at flyweight. He throws in volume, in combinations, to the head, anying the body, and he's accurate while doing it. 4% significant strike accuracy at the rate he throws. That's not a guy who's just swinging wildly. That's a craftsman. And then there's the mentality. This is a kid who trains at 7 a.m., jokes with his coaches, eats McDonald's for breakfast every morning even during fight camp, and still walks into the Octagon and performs at an elite level. I'm focused when I have fun, he said. If you look at this fighting stuff as a job, you're not going to be very successful. That joy, that fearlessness, it isn't an act. It's who he is, and it's what makes him so hard to prepare for. You want to know how big this performance was? After the fight, Dana White, a man who has seen everything in the sport, showed up at the post-fight press conference and couldn't stop talking about Van. He's a promoter's dream. He's young, he puts on incredible fights, and he always wants to fight. Tonight he went to war. That's the UFC president giving his full endorsement to a 24-year-old from Myanmar. That's the stamp of approval that separates good fighters from the ones who become icons. And this isn't just Dana. Multiple organizations named Van the 2025 Breakout Fighter of the Year. His war with Brandon Royval won Fight of the Year from ESPN, Sherdog, MMA Junkie, CBS Sports, and the UFC themselves. Sherdog named him the 2025 Male Fighter of the Year. He was ranked number 10 in the UFC pound-for-pound rankings as of March 2026. The world has noticed, and after UFC 328, there's no looking back. So what's next? Simple. Alexandre Pantoja. The rematch that the whole flyweight division has been circling. Van has been calling for it since the night he won the belt. When Pantoja was staring him down cage side at UFC 328, Van looked right at him through the camera and said, "Pantoja, you better get your S right. We can run it back if you want."
You see, even the toughest warriors can be broken. But throughout history, only one thing could put that look in a man's eyes. War.
Everybody! But the truth is, they're both wrong. A monster is summoned. It doesn't come out by chance or choice, but by need. A survival instinct.
Kill everybody! I'm the champ! I'm the king!
Something had to summon him.
Every now and again, an athlete comes along who can't.
I've seen a lot of videos breaking down 5 reasons Sean Strickland is better than Khamzat Chimaev. But in this video, I'm going to flip that narrative and show you why Khamzat might actually be the more dangerous fighter.
Nothing gonna help him.
Khamzat Chimaev is still undefeated, and what makes him truly terrifying is his fighting style. He doesn't always come out looking for an early finish. Instead, he breaks his opponents down over time, draining them round by round until they're completely exhausted. By the later rounds, his opponents often look like a completely different version of themselves compared to how they started.
I guarantee you, had I been scheduled to sit with Sean Strickland or Khamzat Chimaev, I would have absolutely made it to New Jersey. Everything else would have had to stay deal with whatever. I wouldn't have cared. There was a point where Khamzat said he was going to kill him. Sean Strickland said he was going to shoot him. These guys are going to depths that we have not seen in a really long time. They like to say it's like Khabib and Conor, me and John. We said a lot of wild things.
And it's not just about grappling or striking. Khamzat is dangerous in every area. He's faced high-level strikers and wrestlers, and in most cases, he's been able to dominate and control them. Even though Sean Strickland is a strong striker with solid pressure and durability, Khamzat brings a more complete and overwhelming mix of skills that makes him a serious threat to anyone in the division.
What win fights? I'll tell you the fight that I'm really looking forward to, because I don't know what's going to happen, is Khamzat versus Strickland. I'm very interested in that.
So let's break it down and see why, stylistically and physically, Khamzat might just have the edge. Let's break it down. Let's start with the man himself. Khamzat Chimaev, 15 fights, 15 victories, 0 defeats. 0. In a sport where every top fighter has a loss on their record, Khamzat stands alone. He is undefeated and, more importantly, he has never been in serious danger of losing. Not once.
Survival instinct.
Kill everybody! I'm the champ! I'm the king! Ah!
He is not a one-dimensional fighter. Forget that idea right now. Khamzat is a complete weapon. Elite Chechen wrestling, dangerous submission grappling, and striking sharp enough to punish anyone who tries to trade with him standing. He destroyed Robert Whittaker, a former world champion, in under 3 minutes. Think about that. Whittaker has been in 5-round wars with the best in the world. Khamzat made it look like a sparring session.
Everybody! I'm coming for everybody! Kill everybody!
I've been in this game my whole life. I've never seen anything like him.
Khamzat is the fucking truth.
He's an absolute fucking freak of nature.
Comes from a tough place you're going to create.
He has beaten strikers. He has beaten grapplers. He has beaten elite wrestlers, and now Sean Strickland stands in front of him. A striker with no answer for elite-level wrestling. A man who has already been taken down and submitted in sparring. By his own admission, the question is not whether Khamzat wins. The question is how badly. Now let's be fair, Sean Strickland is no joke on the feet. His defensive boxing is genuinely elite. His jab is sharp, his movement is calculated, and his volume can smother opponents over 5 rounds. He beat Israel Adesanya, one of the greatest strikers in MMA history. That is a real achievement. But here is where it falls apart. Strickland is a striker. That is his game. And Khamzat Chimaev has made a career out of dismantling strikers. When Khamzat decides to close the distance and get his hands on you, the fight moves to a place where Strickland simply does not want to be. The clinch, the cage, the ground. Strickland himself admitted it. In sparring with Chimaev, he was taken down multiple times and submitted. His words, not ours. Now, some will say sparring is different, and yes, it is. But patterns do not lie. If Khamzat can take him down in the gym, he will take him down in the cage. And once that happens, once Chimaev gets his grips, once Strickland is against the fence, all that beautiful boxing becomes useless. You cannot Philly shell your way out of a body lock from a man who benches the entire roster. Let's talk statistics for a moment, because the numbers tell a story that no highlight reel can hide. Khamzat Chimaev has one of the highest finishing rates in the history of the UFC middleweight division. He does not just win, he ends fights. He has a plus-minus striking differential that most middleweights can only dream of, and his takedown success rate is among the highest at 185 pounds, period. Now, Sean Strickland defends well. We know that. He absorbs less damage than almost anyone in the division. But defense means nothing when a man with the strength of a heavyweight is dragging you to the mat. The cardio argument that Strickland outlasts people also gets complicated here, because when Khamzat grapples, he does not tire in a normal way. Against Whittaker, he was explosive and controlled. Against Burns, yes, he slowed down, but he still won, and he has only improved since then. Strickland is betting that Khamzat fades. That is a dangerous bet when the man across from you has never been stopped. Here is what separates Khamzat Chimaev from every other fighter Strickland has faced. He does not just beat you on the scorecard. He breaks you. We have seen it repeatedly. Fighters walk into his fights confident. They have a game plan. They have watched the film. They know what is coming. And then Khamzat grabs them, and everything falls apart. The game plan disappears. The confidence evaporates. And in that moment, when a fighter feels Khamzat's grip and realizes they cannot get out, something changes in their eyes. That is not just technique. That is dominance. That is the kind of pressure that makes people quit without even taking damage. Sean Strickland is mentally tough. Absolutely. He has been through things in life that would break most people. He will not quit. He will not panic. He will fight until the final horn if he has to. We respect that. But mental toughness cannot replace technique and strength on the ground. And against Khamzat Chimaev, the ground is where this fight is decided. Now, Strickland has been very vocal on social media. On Twitter, he sent a clear message to Khamzat, calling him out, trash talking, doing what Strickland does best. And you know what? That is fine. Talk is part of the game. Strickland has used mental warfare before. He got into Adesanya's head. He tried it with Dricus du Plessis. But Khamzat Chimaev is not Adesanya. He is not a man who gets rattled by words. He is a man who grew up in conditions that most fighters, most people, cannot even imagine. He has been forged in hardship. He has faced real adversity. A few tweets from Sean Strickland are not going to shake the Chechen wolf. If anything, that kind of talk motivates Khamzat more. It gives him a target. It gives him a reason. And when Khamzat has a reason, you feel it from the very first second of round one. So here is where we land. Khamzat Chimaev enters this fight undefeated at 15-0. He has beaten strikers, wrestlers, and well-rounded champions. He has never been stopped. He has never been seriously hurt. He has never had his back against the wall for an extended period. Sean Strickland is a brilliant boxer. He is experienced. He is durable. He is mentally strong. But he is a striker walking into the cage with an elite grappler who has already submitted him in the gym. The math does not add up in Sean's favor. Our prediction: Khamzat Chimaev wins by submission or ground and pound tackle, most likely by the third round. He will close the distance early, neutralize the jab, take Strickland to the mat, and control him until the referee steps in. This is not about disrespecting Sean Strickland. This is about recognizing what Khamzat Chimaev truly is, a generational talent who has not yet met his match. And Sean Strickland, for all his toughness, is not that match. That is our full breakdown of Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland.